You know, when you plan a trip, particularly a long one like the one that we've been doing, sitting in your office in my case, Cape Town, an idea seems like a good idea at the time. And then only many months later, you get here and you go, I can't remember what we're doing here. What I can tell you is that we're in Kanazawa. And one of the reasons why we got off here is it's on the bullet train route. This entire railway station was built around the Shinkansen. And it's ultra modern in there. But what attracted us is that this beautiful city is quite close to the actual coastline with a harbour. So it gives us a double chance to visit somewhere on the coast and find out about the history that lies behind it. After our wonderful sightings in Kyoto with the geisha district, we were very keen to get into the Higashi-Chaya district here. And we were so lucky. As we were wandering around, we bumped into a real live geisha on her way to work. The Shima Tea House was important on our program. It's the authentic geisha house dating back to about 1820, and they have recreated it into a museum, but they've done it in such a way that it is exactly as it was back then, with the rooms where the geishas used to perform. And we were allowed to have tea there, which was wonderful, even though tea was again the green matcha tea. And the delicacies, I think, turned out to be bean paste, although we're not 100% sure. I was fascinated to find out how important gold leaf is in Kanazawa. They have been the primary producer of gold leaf for Japan, almost 98%, and it goes back some 400 years. It is their specific skill, and it's extraordinary to watch them work with this delicate material. Show me how it works. There's like an open amount there. Okay. And then that. Oh, that's beautiful. There's not much left of the original 16th century Kanazawa castle, but when we were there, they'd organized this sort of illumination night, which they do often in Japan, and they'd use the backdrop of the reconstructed castle and all the trees and the beautiful garden to create this marvelous three-dimensional sort of sensational experience where you interact with big balls of light and touch things and touch the trees. And if you're going to see a 16th century castle, let me tell you, this is the way to do it. Being attacked by big balls. We just treated ourselves to what we think is something pretty special, some beautiful grapes, and we came around the corner and just outside the market there's this enormous queue. So we followed the queue and asked the lady behind me, what's all this about? Apparently this is a queue to buy melon. I've never seen a queue like this for melon, but she explained to us that it only comes into this part of the world occasionally, and there's a festival going on, and melon is a part of that festival. It says last part of the box, which I assume means that once it gets to the end of the queue, no more melons. This glorious looking building behind me is the 21st Century Contemporary Art Museum. We wanted to get to it, but we've been around so many different sightseeing things today, and as you can see, it's not quite as late as what it looks. Winter is starting to come in, so we've still got time Geri-Antics style to fit one more thing in, so we have to go in there before we call it a day today.
And then you can see it from upstairs.
How did that feel?
Very different, like deprives you of all your senses except for what's underneath the ball. Very weird. At the art exhibition in Loo, with this electronic Japanese loos, except this one's lit up. And I guess because I'm in an art exhibition, we've got this going on. Now I've seen everything.
Nagamachi is the samurai district of this whole area, and we're about to visit a house that belonged to several generations of family called the Nomura family. Interestingly, they were responsible for horseback security in the samurai days, and the house has been restored and added to show exactly what it would have been like to live as a samurai, a wealthy samurai, back in that period. It was built by the feudal lords of the time to try and counteract the might of the shogun, because they were all powerful. They weren't allowed, for example, in those days to build more than 3 stories. So this is effectively a 3-story building with 7 stories inside. Having just been shown the secrets of the ninja temple, it's fascinating. Trapdoors that disappear, stairways that disappear up into the sky, hidden little rooms where samurai warriors could jump and protect their lords, and even a room with no return where the feudal lord that hasn't made it on the battlefield has to end his life. It was full of mystique and mystery, and the atmosphere was absolutely incredible.
We were on our way to try and find the Ken-Rokuen garden, and the GPS sort of took us unexpectedly here, and there was all this community activity going on. It was wonderful. Dancing, singing, kids, grown-ups, brilliant. Ken-Rokuen Garden is recognized in Japan as being one of the top 3 gardens that you have to go and visit. It's exquisite, really is a sort of masterpiece of Zen thinking.
I think we've just been outgunned in the sheer size of the cameras.
I admit to being just a tad obsessed with all these kimonos in Japan.